George Orwell's 1984, Complete Summary Part 1, The World of Big Brother. Winston Smith, a 39-year-old man living in London, now part of Oceania, works at the Ministry of Truth, where his job involves rewriting historical records to match the party's current version of truth. The world has been divided into three superstates: Oceania, Eurasia, and Eastasia, perpetually at war with each other. The party, led by the mysterious Big Brother, controls every aspect of life through surveillance, propaganda, and thought control. Telescreens monitor citizens constantly, the thought police arrest those guilty of thought crime, and the official language newspeak is designed to eliminate subversive thoughts by eliminating the words to express them. Winston lives in a modest apartment and struggles with health issues. Despite the dangers, he begins keeping a secret diary where he writes critical thoughts about the party, an act of rebellion that could result in severe punishment. He remembers fragments of life before the revolution, but struggles to distinguish between real memories and fabricated history. The party's slogan defines daily life: war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Winston works under O'Brien, an inner party member whom he suspects might be part of an underground resistance called the Brotherhood. During the Daily to Minutes Hate, a ritual where citizens express fury toward the party's enemies, Winston notices a dark-haired girl who seems to share his skepticism about the party. Part 2. Love and Rebellion. The dark-haired girl, Julia, secretly passes Winston a note reading "I love you." Despite the enormous risk, they begin meeting in secret locations, first in the countryside, then in a rented room above an antique shop in the Prole district. Julia, who works in the fiction department, is more pragmatically rebellious than Winston, focused on personal freedom rather than political ideology. Their relationship represents a significant rebellion against the party, which seeks to control personal relationships and eliminate individual emotional connections, channeling all loyalty toward Big Brother. Julia reveals that she has questioned party doctrine through small acts of defiance. For Winston, their relationship becomes both deeply personal and politically meaningful, a reclaiming of human connection in a controlled society. In their hideaway, Winston shares his theories about the party's control mechanisms. He explains the concept of doublethink, accepting contradictory beliefs simultaneously, and discusses how the party maintains power by constantly rewriting history. Julia is less interested in these philosophical discussions, preferring to focus on their personal happiness and immediate freedom. Winston also tells Julia about his memories of his mother and sister, who disappeared during the early days of the party's rule. He carries guilt about his childhood behavior toward them. These memories represent some of the few authentic human connections from his past that the party has not completely erased or altered. Part 3. The Brotherhood and Trust. O'Brien approaches Winston and Julia, claiming to be part of the Brotherhood, the underground resistance movement led by Emmanuel Goldstein, the party's ideological opponent. In a secret meeting at O'Brien's apartment, Winston and Julia pledge their commitment to opposing the party's total control. They agree to support the resistance movement while maintaining their personal bond. O'Brien gives Winston a copy of The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism by Emmanuel Goldstein. Winston reads portions of this forbidden book, which explains how the party maintains power through perpetual warfare, the manipulation of language and history, and the division of society into different social classes. The book reveals that the constant conflict between superstates serves to maintain social control and consume resources. However, Winston and Julia's sanctuary is not as secure as they believed. They are discovered and arrested in their hideaway by the thought police, accompanied by Mr. Charrington, the antique shop owner, who was actually working with authorities all along. A hidden telescreen behind a picture had been monitoring them throughout their relationship. Winston realizes that their discovery was likely inevitable. The party had been observing him long before he began his diary. Their relationship had been monitored and allowed to continue until it served the party's purposes to make arrests. Part 4. The Ministry of Love. Winston is taken to the Ministry of Love, the most feared building in Oceania. In detention, he encounters other political prisoners and witnesses the systematic re-education process they undergo. His cellmate Ampleforth, a poet who was arrested for leaving unapproved words in literary translations, represents how extensively the party monitors all forms of expression. O'Brien appears as Winston's interrogator and re-educator, revealing that he has been observing Winston for 7 years. The Brotherhood, Winston learns, may or may not exist. O'Brien will never tell him definitively. What matters is that O'Brien helped write the book attributed to Goldstein, making him both an apparent rebel leader and a party loyalist, embodying the party's complete control over information. The re-education process is both physical and psychological. O'Brien explains that the party's goal is not simply to extract confessions or eliminate opposition, but to completely reshape human thinking. Winston must not only obey Big Brother, but genuinely embrace the party's ideology. The party seeks power for its own sake, and the ultimate expression of that power is the ability to make someone accept that objective reality can be altered. Through intensive re-education, Winston's resistance gradually weakens. He begins to accept ideas he previously rejected and provides information about people he knows. But he maintains one area of psychological independence: his feelings for Julia. Part 5. Complete Transformation. O'Brien takes Winston to Room 101, which is designed to confront each person with their deepest psychological fear. Winston's greatest terror involves rats. Faced with this overwhelming fear, Winston finally surrenders his last area of independent thought. In his panic, he directs the authorities toward Julia instead of himself, abandoning their mutual loyalty. After his release, Winston is fundamentally changed. He sits in the Chestnut Tree Cafe, drinking victory gin and playing chess alone. He has learned to practice doublethink perfectly, accepting whatever the party tells him without internal conflict. When he encounters Julia months later, both realize that their connection has been completely severed and that their former bond no longer exists. Winston's transformation becomes complete when he hears news of a military victory. Looking at a poster of Big Brother, he realizes that he has genuinely learned to embrace party ideology. The party has achieved total success, not just over Winston's actions or words, but over his thoughts and emotions. He has been completely reformed according to party principles. The novel ends with Winston's realization that he now truly supports Big Brother. This represents the party's ultimate achievement, the complete reconstruction of individual thought and feeling, replacing personal beliefs with absolute loyalty to the state. Winston's journey from questioning to complete acceptance illustrates the comprehensive power of systematic ideological control. Themes and legacy. Orwell's 1984 serves as a warning about the dangers of totalitarian government, mass surveillance, and the manipulation of truth and information. Written in 1948, the novel anticipated many concerns about government overreach, surveillance technology, and the control of information that remain relevant in contemporary discussions about privacy and authority. The concepts introduced in the novel, Big Brother, doublethink, thought crime, and newspeak, have entered common usage as ways to describe authoritarian practices and the manipulation of language and information. The novel's exploration of how power operates and how individuals can be psychologically transformed by systematic pressure continues to resonate with readers worldwide. The work remains one of the most significant dystopian novels of the 20th century, offering insights into the relationship between individual freedom and state control that continue to inform political and social discussions today. Loved this summary? Hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more book wisdom. Let me know what book to cover next in the comments.